Mayor Booker has a lot of national presence when it comes to the media, etc. A lot of people have that, that aura. There's a lot of people who see that and say he's a great leader. But I know more than that, in the sense that I know he's a great leader, and it's off the TV cameras where I've seen it. And very quickly, I remember that 2 years ago, there was a major campaign that I was working with for anti-bigotry. There was a horrible, horrible situation that we had where there was several corporations that were pulling out of a particular show based upon the religious affiliation of those individuals that were depicted in that show. And I gave a speech at a certain event at Rutgers University, and Mayor Booker was in the audience. Not only did he, without any votes, support, nothing in mind, not only did he support and sign the petition that I was submitting to him, he tweeted it, he supported it, he gained us so many signatures. Had a huge hand in that corporation coming down and apologizing to the community and standing up for what was right for America. And I just want to say that that was tremendous. And 2 years later, pay it forward, because that's exactly why I'm here. That's why we brought these youth in the room to support you, from Democrats and Republicans and others. He's a man of integrity as a young man, and somebody who was a big supporter of Barack Obama in 2008, and definitely frustrated by the current political situation. You're restoring our hope.
I appreciate it, but I want to jump on. I want to be more specific, because you're being gentle by not being specific. It's the bigotry of this company, in sort of stigmatizing and even demonizing Muslim Americans was outrageous, and you were incredible in your way of rallying the campus and other students to get involved. And I think this is something that it's this lesson we have to learn over and over and over again. That King said it so eloquently. The problem today is not the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people, but the appalling silence and inaction of the good people. And to see the bigotry festering now in our country again, specifically targeted towards Islamic Americans, is something that we have to speak out against at this moment where I feel uncomfortable with unwarranted invasions of privacy. And overzealous government. And I know the pressure, so please understand, I'm privy in the position I hold to get security briefings and to know the kind of reality we live in. There have been buildings in Newark that have been targeted for terrorist attacks. But at the same time, that should never be, our reaction should never be surrendering our common values, our common decency, or targeting individuals just because of the color of their skin or how they choose to worship God. And so your vigilance to me is something that we need to continue to emulate in other sectors of our society, especially more in government, to have people that have the courage to stand up when it's not convenient and speak out against any kind of bigotry, no matter how it rears its head. So thank you for what you said. Give me children.
The reality is, in 2008, there was a lot of, we were talking about this out in the foyer. There was a lot
this
of talk.
House is like a hotel.
Yeah. But essentially, we were talking in the foyer about the hope and change of 2008, and how in 2012, much of the energy from the young vote really passed on, and it wasn't there, unfortunately. Those of us who supported Barack Obama, again, found it very difficult to get the same folks who had come in 2008 out. Even though he won, it wasn't the same numbers. When you go to Washington, how do you plan to essentially carry the youth message with you? Because you might be 44, but we still consider you, I mean, Senator Lauterbach, with all due respect, may rest in peace, was in the older generation, so you are a fresh change. How are you going to carry that message in that banner?
Well, let me use Senator Lauterbach as a bridge, because he was the last World War II veteran to leave the Senate. There will be no more from that great war, from the greatest generation. And what I just said to a group earlier is today is that this idea of the greatest generation shouldn't be a call for us to stand and look in awe at the past. It should inspire us and a desire to be great ourselves. And so our generation, I am the X generation, if you're born after 1980 and before 1965, after 1965, excuse me, before 1980 you were an X gener, and you, my friend, are a millennial. I don't know why my generation is stuck with X, and you get like something millennial. But it's interesting because our generation, we grew up in a digital era, in a digital age, and so for me, what's exciting about the entrepreneurs that I work with in the digital area, I sat with some early stage tech folks in the education space recently. I did it again with some early stage tech entrepreneurs in the social media space. It just explodes my imagination with what's possible. So let me just give you, and I hate to riff on this but it's such a great point about the hope for our democracy.
I'm an entrepreneur in education, so that's actually perfect.
This is great. So think about the democratizing force that technology is unleashing in this world. Let's start with the democratization of capital. You used to have to supplicate yourself before banks if you wanted to get access to capital. It's a way to go, so it goes on today. But this millennial generation is now creating things like Kiva and Kickstarter that is democratizing access to capital. So you can be an entrepreneur in India and get money from Kiva to start your business. You could be an artist in South Dakota, never even have to leave and get funding for your project. We're democratizing work in a righteous way. There's an Indian American woman who is a dear friend of mine who started a company called Sami H, which takes micro tasks, and she sets up terminals, computer access in developing nations in South America and Africa, and takes these micro tasks and gives people access to enter the technological sphere of work and raises their standard of living. It's incredible. We're democratizing education. It used to be these rarefied universities that only the elite can get access to. Well, Stanford's putting classes online now, and people in developing nations are outperforming Stanford students in the classes. So I can go on and on. We're democratizing the ability for us to access our latent economic potential. This whole movement in America called collaborative consumption, where you have Uber and Lyft and Airbnb. So I can go on and on and on about this democratizing force that the technology of this new era is unleashing in helping our country and our globe be more equal.